Welcome to Dulce, the new guy commentary with Gene Hoyle.
Konnichiwa.
And Chuck Pino.
What's going on, everybody?
So from here, we're going to go through the book page by page and talk about some behind the scenes. And
can we first talk about this kick-ass cover?
Yeah, you know what? The cover is a great place to begin.
I love it because, first off, it looks like almost any office I've ever visited or worked at. Besides the chamber in the back, it's exactly like any place I've ever worked at.
Yeah, like he nailed the workroom, break room. Like,
I have a question about the cover actually, and I never really paid much attention to it. What the hell is stealing a donut down in the bottom right-hand corner?
It's some kind of alien thing.
He's got a baseball cap on though.
Yeah, he's a worker.
Oh God, we should have brought him in. All right, issue 3.
Yeah, it's not too late.
Yeah, issue 3. That's it.
We'll get the backstory someday. One of my favorite things was the mug, world's best ancient spirit deity.
Yes,
because I love the idea of ancient aliens and that our gods and such might have been. So like for these characters to potentially have come from a line of characters that were misinterpreted as gods, just is amazing. Plus, it's a little hint towards Francis's species and how they operate.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't really get into that in this issue, but it's foreshadowing to something that we again foreshadow in the second issue.
I think my favorite thing on the cover is the fact that there's so much amazing technology. Like when you look through the book and whatnot, there's so much amazing, awesome technology, and yet Chamness has a freaking Walkman.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have like a Discman or anything. It's 1980s Walkman, dude.
Yeah, this cover is amazing. And then
it is.
The hand in the back coming after Marcus, like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yeah. Now he really did get all of that.
I don't even remember what his direction was on this. I don't remember what we told him. I'm sure we did not tell him this.
I will tell you, the one thing that's amazing about Greg Warrenchak is that he just, when he loves something, he instinctually gets it and makes things so much better than what was even in your head.
Yeah, I agree. And then Avery and the way he adds shape and form to things with color is just brilliant. I mean, there's just so much color. It's so just
color and texture. There's texture to all these characters. Every one of them.
It's bright, but it doesn't hurt your eyes. You know what I mean? Like it's just like this perfect level of colorful and fun, but it doesn't at any point overdo it.
No, and like the very warm wall there, like framing the very cool colors and it just frames Marcus and the hand. I mean, Greg's drawing framed it, but then he uses color to really draw your eye there, and
and you'll notice that with issue 2, although it's similar characters in there, Marcus is on both covers. It's a very different color scheme on the cover. It's darker, but still bright, and it's really a good contrast for her.
Yep, I agree.
Well, and I think those colors speak more to the actual issue. This issue was a little more lighthearted, whereas there's a little more mystery and darkness in the second one.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
So if you're going to judge a book by its cover, there you go. It's
right.
We nailed it.
This is a good one, yes.
One thing to mention, I guess, heading into the first page, where Marcus heads into the elevator to head towards the EIE department that he's going to be working at, is that this issue is actually a prelude for it in the Nerd Nation Presents comic. Like the leads directly up to this panel. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's worth mentioning.
And that was so well done too, because when you guys originally brought me on, I just helped to edit the 4-pager. So I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know a lot of the bigger story and stuff. And so when it immediately started afterwards, I was like, oh, damn, I really love what they're doing here. Like, this is kind of badass.
Well, Chuck, page by page, we don't know what we're doing either, so it's fine.
Well, that's what keeps me busy, right?
Exactly. God, without you, it would be a disjointed mess.
Guys, I don't even know who this character is. Like, he's not even. I think he's from a different book. Screw it. Let's make him invisible, and we'll throw him in here anyways.
So actually, we initially had bigger plans for this flying robot that's with Mark.
Yes, he kind of fell by the wayside.
He was going to be a much bigger deal. Not like a main character, but he was going to, I guess,
a butler?
More like, I think he was going to be a real pain in the ass to Marcus. Like,
oh, cool.
Well, maybe he still can be. We'll see.
Issue 3.
I mean, we only have 37 characters so far, so one more would know, right?
Hey, you know what I did notice, though? In panel, I guess it's technically 3.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little slime dude from the cover.
The donut stealer. Nice.
Donut stealer.
Isn't it really funny that a year later we can look at this and see things ourselves that we didn't see before?
Right?
Chuck, you're the editor. How did you not see this?
Oh, I'm so fired.
I just double checked to make sure this was the book we wrote. Yeah, we're both in the credits. Okay, so yeah, what's up?
But again, this shows how much we trusted Greg, because I mean he put this stuff in. He had that attention to detail and that love for the book that we gave him a lot of free reign. We wrote a story and he filled the pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of, in my opinion, a Gene Ha influence, like from Top 10, where there's all this crazy stuff going on in the background. It could almost tell a whole different story.
Right.
And actually going into page 2, panel 1, look at that computer board, that whole wall of computers. I don't know what all that stuff does, but I think Greg does.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff there.
Well, and more kudos to our art team and Avery on colors. If I colored this right now, it would be 2 shades of gray. Like that would be what you would get.
And here's another nod to Greg and how good he is. Look at that computer screen and that whole wall area there. Then look at the cover of issue 2. It's the same place. Very clearly the exact same wall. So good. So amazing.
Yeah, that is
the
a
guy's
really good
got
point.
it.
That's massive attention to detail, man.
So what else? We're on page 2 now, right?
Right.
Trying to look here what else we got. It looks like they have some killer chairs to sit on.
I love when Francis gets in Marcus's face. Like, it's just like first day on the job, you're meeting this alien crew, and like this is like this big fly monster that's like right up in your face. And when you know a little bit more about Francis and his species, you kind of get why Marcus is a little put off by that.
And
we are so gonna get into that at one point. I swear, it's gonna be a good story.
I'm excited for that. I did want to say that someone we haven't mentioned yet is Mike Wagner, who I love. Yeah, and I love the different it's not font so much, but even just like the different bubble letters and all that, or bubbles and such, and just kind of the way there was a lot of tricks and fun that he had in here. And also there's a fair, if you look, there's actually a fair amount of dialogue, but it's very readable. You can really go down that page and you know exactly what panel I'm supposed to go to, where next. And with that many bubbles, that can be difficult, but he really made it happen.
Yeah, this is why in indie comics it's important to have a letterer or somebody that knows what they're doing. If you want to put out a professional book, that's where a lot falls short.
Yeah. Michael has lettered several things that I've done, so he's used to having to put 6 panels worth of dialogue into 1 panel. So he is really, really good at it. So by now he's okay with my BS. He's like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna put it in there.
Well, and also something else is that Greg is really good about creating the space for Michael to work in as well. So it's really weird because very often I don't see pencilers thinking ahead necessarily to the letterer, and that's something sadly that can happen a lot in indie comics. But he really like made it happen, and that's, I mean, like it's the team. You know what I mean? Like the team really comes together on this.
Yep.
Yeah. And Michael is an amazing guy. He really is. And I think though his work was made easy on this because you're right. There's always placement. There's always a place for the dialogue, and that's terrific. That's important.
Tomness actually, I named him after my tax guy.
Were you hoping to get a break?
No, it just felt like the right name for some reason. And we put out this book like right around tax time last year. So
Right.
I think I had just met with the tax guy, and I was having anxiety about having to go to the tax guy, and I was writing that part, and I was just like, what am I going to name this guy? And that just popped into my head.
Here's a question for you, Eric, because I don't remember there being any direction in this area. The 3 panels with Dobbs hanging out in the on the grass and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Did you give any direction to have him draw that in a completely different and wacky style? Because I love it. It stands out.
I think a lot of that actually falls to Avery there. I didn't give him any direction there, but I think that a lot of the look of that panel comes a bit from the colors, because they definitely are different than the panels around them.
Yeah,
Being
It's very cool.
Yeah, and I love the feeling that we were able to give Tamness and Francis of, like, you know, the people that have worked together for way too long. Like, they definitely like feel like organically, you know, like they're work friends.
Yeah, they've fallen into that work friend thing. Whereas I think if they're not working, I mean, these guys are always at work, but if they had days off, they wouldn't necessarily be friends, I don't think.
Right. I don't know if Francis would be friends with anybody, but yeah.
No one would want to be friends with him.
But I do get that feeling, like, that they just work together a lot. I mean, we do make the comment that that Francis hasn't left the office in like 200 years or something.
Yeah, I think it's 232 cycles. Or no, 212.
212 cycles.
Yeah. And here's something interesting, something that Eric and I have talked about, and I'm not sure when or if it'll happen, but Eric actually has a story in his mind about what happened 212 cycles ago to make him leave.
Left the office. Yep.
Yes.
I'd love to do that one. Well, so okay, in that scene, so they drop this bunny back in time through their machine, and this team is a team of evolutionary biologists, and they basically put creatures back in time, and then they see today what they would evolve to, and by just observing the world around them and how different it is from when they put them back in time.
We say they're evolutionary biologists, but really they just do stuff to see what's going to happen. Like, not even, I mean, it's not necessarily even science to drop a bunny back in time, but it's fun.
Well, and I like the last line where Marcus says, "Looks like an ordinary rabbit," and Francis says, "Yeah, it was."
Yeah.
I mean, like, right away he's already like, "Yeah, no, we've already screwed this thing up. Trust me, watch."
Yeah, stuff is going down real quick.
On the next page, in the first panel, there's like this
bodysuit.
Yeah, this like suit. It always reminds me of Manny-Faces from He-Man.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes.
But yeah, it's just kind of hanging out in the background, different angle of the lab.
So here's a random question, Eric. Let's say just for example, a ghost was running around the Dulce base. Do you think it could inhabit that suit and walk around? Just ask them for reasons.
Write that down.
It's written down, man.
Right?
I'm not saying there are ghosts coming up, but there are ghosts coming up.
So another thing I guess about Tomness is that he's a reptilian, which all the Dulce base actual stories center around the reptilians being a big force on the secret base.
Yes.
So he's one of the kind of the links to the actual stories.
So I know that you like this is something that you're really into, obviously, by all the other work that you've done, your other shows, stuff like that. But for Gene, did you have to research any of this kind of stuff, or did you just jump in and have fun with what was being offered?
A lot of it is, I know Eric did a ton of research into this stuff. He really loves this stuff. I looked into it a little bit, but I let him be that part of a world builder, and I focus on the characters way more. So that's something I tend to do, and together it works. I did find for number 2, I did a lot more research into different things, because we kind of take a detour a little bit and go into a different area, which is kind of odd. But and so I researched that a little bit more, specifically a character from real history who's going to be in the book eventually. There's some cool ideas involving something called the Spirit Bank. We'll find out about in issue 2, and it becomes important to at least the plot of this first arc. And we will get a character or 2 from the Spirit Bank, one that Eric created and one that I kind of came up with, that will be part of the regular cast going forward in season 2.
And I can't wait for this, because they're pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. So that's a question I need to bring up when we work on the audio for the next book.
Yes. Well, it'll become kind of obvious, sort of. Not exactly who the characters are, because that's not even foreshadowed yet. But well, one of them kind of is.
Yeah, one of them comes up at the end of issue 2. One of my favorite panels is on. Well, actually, the next. Okay, so underneath that one with the android robot suit thing or whatever in the back, that picture of Francis is like everything. Like, look at that picture.
It's the crossed arms.
Yeah, like that attitude. Like he just both of them like have like the personalities in that panel just are so apparent. I love them.
Francis just doesn't want to be there and doesn't really care. He has no patience for your bullshit. That's basically who he is.
Right.
That's the character. Yeah.
He feels like Stanley from The Office.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And the way the two of them just harp on him for being a human.
Right?
Well, at least Chamness tries to have a little sympathy for him.
Yeah,
at times.
Gives it to him. It's great.
But Francis just doesn't seem to like him at all. But I don't think he likes anyone.
No. So, and I love how, so on the next page, they're just looking at the monitors, and like it's kind of like not a big deal to them. And Marcus is just like, oh my god.
Yeah, right?
The panel where the bunny is picking up the dude, and he's just like, ah! It's so amazing. It's so great. And the guy in the right-hand corner is just yelling. Oh my god.
Yep, that panel is like one of my all-time favorites. Like, but below that, you'll see some of the handiwork of Mr. Wagner in the sound effects.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's again another person putting their signature on this book. I really think this book would be totally different if any one of the team were not there going forward.
I agree. And then the next page, we meet Gert.
Yes. Who? There's a funny thing about him. The first time we saw a picture of him, I made an observation that kind of changed the character a tiny bit, because he was green, and that was a bit too much like Skrulls to us, so we had to change him.
Yeah, he looked a lot like the Super Skrull when we first.
Yes.
I can imagine that actually.
Yeah, and the colors changed it completely.
Yeah, I didn't want that. We didn't need a cease and desist on our first issue.
You're right. So he heads up Team Squatch. Team Squatch is an idea that I had of these characters that they go out and hunt down anomalies, like this bunny, like anything that gets left behind. They go out and they hunt down this stuff. So they call themselves Team Squatch because the Sasquatch is the one thing that's eluded them.
Yes.
So I came up with this idea for this team, and I handed it to Gene, and he pretty much created the entire team. I think I named Gert, and I think that was pretty much it. I think after that, Gene just ran wild with them.
And when this book becomes a top seller and everyone wants to buy it, Team Squatch is the first spin-off book, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be a great spin-off book, for sure. I love the idea here on panel 4 where he says, per protocol. Like, I love that the idea that there's so much crazy crap going on in this place, and they actually have protocols for it. Like, it's so much fun, man. It's just like, it's science fiction and bureaucracy all together, and it's great.
Yeah.
And I think as silly as the bunny stuff is, like the idea that they aren't like restricted by, you know, I mean, they just throw a bunny back in time to see what happens. Like,
Right, exactly.
it's so alien and like that. I mean, it's absurd, but that's like how it would be for somebody going to another planet and not really caring about what's going on that planet, you know? I mean, they do care what goes on because they're there too. So we see that later with the chrono shields and stuff. Gert gets pissed off at them because when they were messing with their machine, one of his guys, they didn't give the time that they're supposed to give before they launched the experiment, and one of his guys got stuck outside of the shields that kind of blocked them from being sucked into the world, basically.
Yeah, and that's a big part of Gert's character. He cares very much about the people under his command.
Yeah, he was very passionate about that.
I love that we don't have to state that. Like, it's felt, it's there. I mean, that's just good writing. I want to be in on issue 3, by the way. that's my kissing butt, just so that I get into the next issue.
Oh, you're stuck, man. You think we're letting you out of this? You're like Marcus, man. You're stuck here for life.
Yeah. Team Dulce.
You have no choice in the matter.
I better get a bunny.
Well, Michael Wagoner is your bunny, dude.
Oh, nice. He's a big bunny.
He's a big fluffy bunny.
So because one of the characters from Team Squatch was missing, Gert demands that they offer somebody to replace that member on the team. And then obviously that ends up being the new guy.
The bottom 3 panels are amazing. As Marcus realizes, yeah, he's the guy.
Right.
And actually, in the middle panel there, that raised eyebrow from Chomnus is just great. It's just like, you know, it's you. Like, I would want to smack him in the face, just like, oh, this guy. Oh.
Yeah, and one of the things I like that we really haven't talked about much in this first issue, but you find out more about hopefully at some point, is that we don't know why Marcus is here. We find a little bit more of a hint in issue 2. There's a little conversation between him and another character, but the full story is yet to come out.
Yep, and we do have that story, mostly. So the next page is our first one-panel page. He nails it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for the most part, when I'm writing, I hate doing splash pages, but this one had to happen. It was absolutely necessary to the book. And it looks great. It's so much better than I could have expected.
It's the first time you're out of the lab, like, so like the difference is like a great establishing shot there. It's just
Absolutely. And it's funny because in the script, we didn't call for them to be covered up for most of that page. So when they take off the helmets, you see what they actually look like, and that was a really neat touch. That was completely Gregory.
Right? Yeah, you did.
Like
they're tracking down their buddy here. There's a lot of back and forth about what's going on. Man, that's a lot of panels on these couple pages.
Yeah, and our first mention of the Spirit Bank on this page.
Wait.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah.
He talks about it being creepy, and he's like, you work one floor above the Spirit Bank, and you think this is creepy? This is nothing. Yeah, the sub-basement. That'll be fun.
Dude, I love that you guys did that.
Yeah. Oh, the sub-basement. I forgot. That was something Eric came up with, and it's a really great idea, and when it pays off, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the idea I came up with, but you added some touches to that are going to be fantastic. I can't wait
it's going to be fun. Yeah, come on. We're combined. We're like an evil Dr. Frankenstein. It's really cool.
We play off of each other really well.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the comedy bits. Because we'll be talking about something and we're like, hey, this is good, but what if we did this? And we're both laughing on the phone. And it always works out good on the page.
Yeah, it helps a lot if you are able to play comedy off of someone else, because just because it's funny in your head does not mean it's going to be funny to a reader. So if you can pitch that joke to somebody else and they're able to laugh, you're like instantly, okay, cool, I can use this or tool it at least. It's workable. But,
Exactly.
you might throw in a joke, like, if you're doing a book by yourself, you throw in a joke and everyone's like, I don't get it. And like, oh, crap.
Yeah, pretty much.
So on these couple pages, they talk a bit about the time limit and how basically, I don't know, we reference the chrono shields at all directly?
I know they're mentioned. In fact, I think on the bottom page here, if all this will be reset, what is the urgency in bringing Perkins back into the chrono shield? So we mentioned it there. There are terrible repercussions for not having someone in the chrono shield when time resets itself.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I love these things. I love this audio commentary because it's something special for Uber fans. Like they get a whole other depth. So something I never asked about, and I was always interested, is Drexel. He has a different font. What was the purpose of that?
Yeah, and I think that was Mike's idea, and it was he just felt like he should have a different voice, I guess. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't written into the script. That was 100% Mikey.
Yep.
So when a letterer can possibly affect the story in a whole other way, because I don't know about you guys, but me seeing that different font, it makes me want to figure out why he speaks differently.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like when a letterer is willing to jump and take that kind of a chance, and I mean, you easily could have just told him, nah, turn it back, like that's silly. But no, instead you're like, you guys embrace the weirdness, which really is what this book is all about. And it's compiling all on top of itself.
And I remember having to think about that one quite a bit. I think we had some discussion around it, and ultimately we were just like, yeah, let's go with it. It had some character.
As I've mentioned, I've worked with Michael a ton, enough to know that I trust him when he has an idea, and it's never come out wrong so far. And with this book, this is a book that actually lends itself to experimentation because it is an off-the-wall book. So something like that really fits, and it really helps, and does add to the overall narrative of the story.
Yep. So they find their guy, and then on the next page, the bunny monster finally comes out. And they meet him. Now, my idea on the bunny monsters was that, so they send back that rabbit, and he, over time, over the millions of years, he evolves into a giant rabbit. Because if you think about it, the rabbit evolved from something that existed millions of years ago in some way.
Sure.
So, whether it was just a little, like, some molecule or whatever at that time, they've evolved to be that little bunny rabbit. So if you take all those years and then throw it back and then let it do it again, like, this is what the bunny would evolve to. And
right.
So I think that a lot of times we look at this bunny as if it's that bunny, but this would actually be a descendant of that bunny.
Right.
And so on this page with the bunny monster, which I've always called him bunny monster, that middle panel with all the sound effects from the guns and stuff, that's all some more Mike genius.
Yeah.
And they have different guns. Like Perkins' gun it's kind of red, and we don't know what it's doing. And the other guys have these like blue kind of guns, more traditional. So that's kind of neat.
And then Avery's colors really help with that too. Like
yeah, for sure. And the open fire again. That's some weird ass lettering, but it looks great. And it's even been colored, which is neat. And the bunny is yelling. Hey Eric. Read us the bunny sound effect. What is he saying exactly? Why don't you do that sound for us?
Wait, isn't that just a roar?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Hang on, I get a drink.
I didn't think I was actually going to be able to get you to do that. That was just a little experiment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really, like you weren't even gonna judge him or anything. You're just like, I just want to know if he would do it. I like
exactly.
You know what I like on this next page? The kind of contemplative look of the bunny monster.
Yeah.
And he it doesn't look savage or anything like that. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like the Incredible Hulk in a cave, just kind of looking out like, Hulk no smash today,
Like eating a can of cold beans or something.
Right.
Which I love when the Hulk did that. That was my favorite thing about the Hulk in the 70s and 80s. He loves cans of cold beans.
I love how we refer to the bunny monster as Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko. And I love that it's Drexel. Like,
yes. And I like that Marcus, at this moment, becomes more confident that he's able to solve the problem.
Yeah, and you can see it like in Greg's drawing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Even though they realize, hey, guess what? I have the tracker. We're kind of screwed. He's like, I got this.
On the next page, was that writing originally on the wall, or is that all either?
That was all Greg, right?
Is that all? Yeah, Greg.
I can tell you, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I think that was Greg.
Yeah.
That's so badass.
It really is.
And the light around the flares, he nailed that. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love the little question mark above Dobbs' head.
Yeah, that's so
in the
like.
middle panel there.
I love that. Like, and then like that picture, that image in the middle panel, like on the right, like the bunny looks like a crazy monster. Like that is not something I would want to be anywhere near.
No, but it's funny because it looks like this page kind of starts the relationship between Marcus and Dobbs. Because Marcus could just like kill the guy, I guess, if he wanted to, but he's not wanting to do that. He's like, "Hey, little guy," he's trying his best not to hurt Dobbs.
Yeah, this is true.
And he apologizes when it happens. So I like that. It means Marcus is a good guy, and I like that.
Yeah.
We have Marcus running back to the rest of the team, kind of pushing things forward.
Yeah, he alerts the team where they're at.
Holy crap! Look at how big Dobbs' mouth is on that one page.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and he like pretty much from that one moment on, like he looks terrifying in this comic for being a giant bunny. Like,
and here's something that I think is sort of something I like, and I know a lot of people don't do this. I don't think action scenes necessarily need a lot of dialogue, if any. So you'll see here in the scene where they're kind of fighting the bunny that there's not much going on dialogue wise, because I don't like that. That feels like a bad 80s movie to me,
Right.
Yeah.
So that page was really easy on Mike. He got one word balloon in that whole page.
And I think the dialogue should be able to speak, or the action should be able to mostly speak for itself. So yeah.
Yep. And Greg handled that well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have our chopper showing up, giving us our ticking time clock again, 30 minutes until the reset, which we didn't mention for a couple pages because we wanted to kind of let that stew for a little bit. But now time is of the essence, and we get our character swearing.
Yeah, but it's funny because we kind of drop a couple of minor swear words in the book, so that one has to be a big one.
The moment kind of makes that necessary.
Yeah.
The Dobbs is now called Bugs, as in Bugs Bunny, so another reference there.
Yeah, and that's again from Drexel, who apparently is all about fictional bunnies. He has a vast knowledge of fictional bunnies.
He has a few books and movies that hanging around.
I enjoy the conspiracy stuff, and there's a lot of conspiracies about the vault of knowledge behind Mount Rushmore, and so bringing that in as being another sort of base, like repository of knowledge, was a lot of fun.
I like that a lot. Actually, that was a really cool nod.
That was one of the few things. One of the things that really stuck in my head after we did the issue. You mentioned the whole repository thing, and I'm like, That's awesome. And this will certainly come back and play if this book keeps going, because that's one of the coolest effing things I could think of. Like, the central repository of all knowledge is behind Mount Rushmore. That's so cool.
Yep. I dig that. They all kind of give kudos to Marcus there to essentially save the day.
Yeah, despite it being completely outside of his job description.
And his first day on the job.
Yes.
And then
it's definitely going to be something.
So we've talked, we've mentioned the work of everybody on the book, but Chuck's input on the last page, I think, kind of made the close of this book.
I'm just gonna smile.
Really, I don't even remember what we exactly had going on anymore, but your notes came back with this idea, and it not only did it help close out this book, I think, brilliantly, but it also created basically one of my favorite characters in Dobbs. Like,
yeah, no, thank you. No, I
yes,
yeah, I think
yes,
actually it basically didn't have the last panel. It just like, you get the money and that was it. And I was like, man, let's have some fun with that, And so yeah, that the end with the question mark and his big red eye and stuff. Yeah, no, I think that was thank you. I'm glad to have been able to add that, but also that it was pulled off so well.
Yes, and again, that's another page with almost, not a whole lot of dialogue. I guess there's a fair amount of it, but I think a lot of it, the art speaks for itself. And how about those pajamas he's got on? I love that.
So, like, Tomness, obviously being the nicer between him and Francis, but it's kind of like it was a nice gesture for him to, bring him this bunny that was such a big part of, like, his first day on the job, and telling him how he did excellent work. And
right. And let me tell you something about Dobbs. Seeing as how Chuck kind of brought him in and made him more of a thing than he was, in writing the second issue, I kind of didn't do much Dobbs. And that's the one note that I got back from you guys. It's like, you got to put Dobbs in there more. So I went back and I did a rewrite. And in doing that, I actually fell in love with the character. And I realized what it was missing was, what you guys said, that Dobbs needs to be hanging around. He needs to be doing stuff. He needs to be part of the tapestry of Dulce Base. And I love it. It's so great.
How Greg handles him in issue is brilliant. Like, you want to go there and, like, rub his belly, like. Yeah,
I want to play. I want to play fetch with Dobbs.
Yeah.
He does become very much a favorite at Dulce Base. You see it at the out of issue 2. I guess a little time has passed, and he's in. He's probably in more than Marcus is at this point.
It's good because he actually makes more sense than Marcus does. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're all kind of freaks out of their element and stuff, and Marcus is a normal human being, and that makes him abnormal.
This is true.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. He's one of the few humans we have on base. You'll meet a few more in the second issue, including one that showed up in the 4-page story. The cast expands a lot in issue 4.
I will say that further down the line, might even be 2 story arcs from now, but you do find that Marcus maybe isn't as normal as you think, and that maybe he does belong there more than you think. There's a lot of backstory to Marcus that I can't wait to get to.
Yeah, maybe.
Even if
the events that led to Marcus being there may or may not have been orchestrated, but we can't say at this point.
I feel like this interview is going to be redacted by the time we end up editing it.
No, I'm cool with it. So is there anything else about this issue that you guys would like to mention or bring up?
Okay, I just have one thing that I really like a lot. The back cover. It's just really, the way it's put together, it's so awesome. I love this cover. This cover could actually be a great ad for the book if put in another comic, just like this. Maybe with the web address on there.
I always liked how, with a lot of, like, if you grab a paperback book, you flip it over, and you can read what it's about and decide if you want to check it out. And
sure.
A lot of the times when you get a comic book from an indie comic creator, you flip it over, and there's an advertisement for the guy who printed it. I wanted to use that space. Like, that's valuable space, and people pick up these books and they look at the back, like they flip through the whole thing, and so at a table I'll often see them pick it up and read the back and then put it back or purchase it if they think it's for them, and it's a nice way to
it makes total sense, and it's something I haven't done on my books, but honestly I may start doing it because I really like it. I'm just going to steal the idea from you because it's effective, it looks great.
I think,
and it's way better than just another house ad, which is what I've done in all my books. Most of them are because I like to stroke myself. It's ads for my podcast on the back of the book.
Awesome. What did you have, Chuck?
I like this little 3-panel piece that you did.
Oh,
yes.
That's, you know what, man? It's funny because I got started, like, I think for a lot of us, we got started in comics at a young age. And one of the things that I got into big time was things like Garfield, Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes, and all of that was such a big part of my youth and stuff. So seeing one of these, and Marvel has done these, and all sorts of people have done these little things, but seeing this in here, it's fun. It's a little 3-part joke, and you know what? The funny thing is that could totally be in canon. Like that could have happened.
You're right.
It makes sense. It's not like he went crazy.
Yeah,
and I think I know Eric as well as I are big fans of Fred Hembeck. So when he told me he was doing this little strip thing, I was sold right away. I thought it was an excellent idea.
Yeah, Fred Hembeck is 100% my inspiration for doing this, and I want to do it. I want to do it for all of these, and if your books ever need any, if you guys have any ideas for 3 panels, I would gladly do more of that. I think it's fun. All right, guys, it's about time to bring this to a close. Thanks for joining me, Chuck and Gene, and hope to see you all at issue number 2.
The hole in the ground, or this hole in my heart, or the giant hole in my brain. Come take a look.